Good luck.
Happiest moment of my life.
I was hoping for Kenobi. Why are you here?
Obi-Wan. May the Force be with you.
Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with you.
Ahsoka. Tano, is it?
We'll take it from here, Commander.
Save your energy. I can't. Don't give up, Padme.
Master Windu. Great care we must take.
You go. I'm sure it's more good news.
You do know, don't you? If the Jedi destroy me, any chance of saving her will be lost.
Execute Order 66.
Yes, Lord Sidious.
Hopefully we'll be able to intercept a few
Jedi before they walk into this catastrophe.
Anakin is the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
My lady, let me come.
Rookie,
Peace. What's up, Nate?
what's
What's
up?
up, y'all? What's up? Welcome, welcome. Yes, and that was
Okay.
a quick little kind of vignette of the major transitions between the Siege of Mandalore Supercut and Revenge of the Sith. The Siege of Mandalore obviously is from the Clone Wars animated series. So I wanted to take an opportunity just to start with that. I actually just this morning, finished a version, of the Supercut, bouncing in between, the various parts of Clone Wars final season and the movie. And there's a way where you can actually, I sent it around to y'all earlier in the week, where you can, actually follow along chronologically in between the scenes of Clone Wars final season and Revenge of the Sith. So that's what, I was just checking out there. Sorry, my dog is getting a little excited. My dog gets a little excited, over this stuff as well. It was super. It adds a lot of context, and the role of Ahsoka, and particularly the one scene, the famous scene from Revenge of the Sith where Yoda said, like, great care we must take, and then you realize that Ahsoka, comes on scene, right after that, in the animated series, and she's very much a part. And and then also for me, who hasn't followed the animated series, you see the role of Bo-Katan, and Mandalore, and it adds a lot more context, to the Mandalorian as well. But Lukeman, if you want to jump in, because you're like, the resident expert, on Clone Wars, and so and also I'll take care of Sasha real quick. But yeah, man, like break it down from someone who's followed both and kind of had this perspective that I'm just getting over this weekend that you had, like, as you were watching The Mandalorian. Some of those characters play a lot bigger role than for somebody like me that wasn't, following the animated series and familiar with those characters.
Definitely. I mean, shouts out to Dave Filoni for definitely being the one who kind of put all of that together. And you can kind of see that he took great care in piecing all the scenes together, piecing all the all the happenings, all what went on in those final minutes, and those final from Revenge of the Sith, as well as the Siege of Mandalore. You see, like I said last week, you see it from Ahsoka's point of view and Rex's point of view. You know what I mean? What they're going through, what's happening. One of the key things is that Darth Sidious or Palpatine, shows up personally to Rex to say Order 66, right? And so that was one of the few times that he showed up personally during that time. I think it was another Jedi he did that, but he did that because of Ahsoka. This is like background story from Filoni, that he did that because Palpatine knew how important Ahsoka was. You know what I mean? So he definitely wanted to eliminate her because he felt her power, her strength. So that's why he showed up and told Rex personally to do that. You also see the relationship between Rex and Ahsoka, and you'll see that kind of develop as Rex comes into the Ahsoka series later on. You also see Bo-Katan, and why Bo-Katan is really, really important. Her character arc, what she means to the whole situation. She is actually the rightful ruler of Mandalore because her sister from the Clone Wars is the one who was executed by the Mandalorian uprising. You know what I mean? So she's kind of the one who is the next ruler, right? And so that's why she has that reaction when she sees the Dark Blade at the end of the Mandalorian series, right? So you see her come into play. You didn't really get to see Ahsoka escape, you know what I mean, in that markup that video you saw, but I'm sure, Carl, you saw some of that. And I suggest, man, if anyone is a Star Wars fan, is to watch the last 3 episodes of the Clone Wars series in season 7. It's remarkable storytelling. I'll just say this, that the Ahsoka getting off the ship, her and Rex escaping the ship and escaping Order 66 is some of the most craziest dramatic Star Wars narration in TV movie lore over the last 40 years, straight up. And the things she goes through, right? You agree, Carl, and the things she goes through and what have you, and how she gets away, and even Darth Maul's role in that piece as well. So hopefully I didn't ramble too long, but I just wanted to give a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. And again, for those who are just joining us, you know, we're doing a review of the Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith Supercut. We'll be sharing more information about it, but it's basically, if you just take the final episodes of season 7 of A Clone Wars and chronologically weave them in to the storyline of Revenge of the Sith at particular chronological parts. So Disney Plus is a great platform to watch it. I've watched it over the past 3 days, and we'll also share a PDF, you know, on how to do it. You know, but you basically watch, you know, Clone Wars to a certain point in a particular episode, and at that time stamp, you hit pause, cue up Revenge of the Sith, watch it to a certain point, hit pause, go back to the Clone Wars, and, you know, and obviously, you know, Disney Plus allows you to have that continue to watch function. So you just go back, you know, click it right where you left off, and it's actually a great way to do it. And it definitely, you know, I think the scene on the bridge with Rex and Ahsoka, you know, added a whole other level of tension, you know, when you watch it and, you know, Order 66 has been called and you're just waiting for, like, okay, so when is Rex going to get the order? Like, you know what I mean? And Ahsoka's just, you know, rolling around like everything is cool, you know, and there's all these clone troopers on the bridge, and you're just like, at what point, you know, are they going to get, you know, the transmission, you know, and then later in the scene, when Ahsoka escapes, you get the opportunity, you know, to really see, you know, a whole background, you know, of the inhibitor chip that was placed in the clone troopers' minds, you know, and then how Rex himself thought that there was something shady about it, you know what I'm saying, but didn't know, you know, what it meant, you know, and then the other thing, the last thing I'll say before we bring Lando in is from a certain perspective was the scene where she identifies the inhibitor chip, you know what I mean, and it took me back to Rogue One, you know, and shared M-Way of, you know, this. You know, they say the same line, of course, which obviously harkens back to you know, to him saying the line, but, you know, I am the Force and the Force is with me. But Rex himself, the clone trooper, says this as well. You know, and I don't think there was ever a consideration, you know, and they talk about that a little bit on the bridge. It's like, you know, I was brought, you know, to Coruscant to be a Jedi, and all I've ever been is a soldier. You know, which really jumps you back to the Light of the Jedi and the High Republic stuff, which we won't get into today. But as we talked about on previous episodes, you know, in the Light of the Jedi and the High Republic era, you know, Jedi, when they became masters, they were given free reign to explore the Force in whatever way. And now we see in this era, you know, Jedi are essentially just military officers, you know what I mean? Generals. You know, and military folks, and not necessarily people who are exploring, the ways of the Force, and it was kind of a forced moment. Whereas even the clone connected to the Force, and that's partly what allowed them to find the inhibitor ship, and figure that out. But Bethando, they're with the youngling, at the Jedi Temple, So
no, that's good, Kahari. I didn't even see that, man. I ain't even noticed that. You know what I'm saying? What you just said. You know what I mean? That's definitely ill as far as Rex's connection to the Force and how he, you know what I mean, and how that, made them kind of go to the inhibitor chip. That's kind of wanted to add that. Yeah, that's strong. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, hey, I like it. I love everything Lukey said, man. Like you said, he really is the expert on it. So, but like one of the things that I'm doing right now, because I had never watched the Clone Wars series before, is I'm watching through, the early seasons and like where you really see Ahsoka as this young girl. And to like where you see, and then the way that Dave Filoni does such a great job of evolving that character to where you see her, in the Siege of Mandalore, and after Order 66 is called, she's just a completely different, like more mature, like deadly, like super dope force welding. I don't want to call her a Jedi because I feel like that would diminish her. But like I honestly I thought that it was excellent. It was just really apparent that like Dave Filoni was watching Revenge of the Sith on repeat when he was right. You know what I'm saying? Like he made those things happen to the point where an amateur YouTuber could take like what he did and effortlessly weave it into that film. Like it was amazing, man. It's magic.
No, that's what's up, man. The funny scene, man, from Revenge of the Sith is when Obi-Wan. I always thought that was funny when Obi-Wan and they showed it. I forgot it when Padme, when he finds out Padme's pregnant with Anakin, he's like, "That's Anakin's child, isn't it?" And she says, she doesn't say anything. He's, "I'm so sorry," and he just walks away. Yo, just like that's like the gangster scene, man. He's like, "I'm so sorry," and he puts on his hood and like walks and goes to his ship.
He just like hood on and walks. He's out.
Just leaves her hanging, like, you know what I mean? "I'm so sorry." Anyway,
he said, "You got pregnant by who?"
Yeah, right. I knew it was. I kind of felt that y'all were together anyway. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man, definitely, man. I think Ahsoka. Also, one thing about Ahsoka is that you definitely see her growth, but you also see her dilemma in the final episode with the Jedi Council, right? Because for those who don't know or familiar with the Clone Wars, she's kicked out of the council, right? In season 5, she's kicked out of the Jedi Council for a false accusation of a murder, right? And so all of season 7, she's not around. Season 6 and season 7, I'm sorry, she's not around. And in season 7, she discovers, because she's on the underground in Coruscant, she discovers Darth Maul is doing some stuff, right? So she contacts the Jedi Council like, "Yo, Darth Maul is doing this." So the Jedi Council is like, "All right, we're going to send you Rex to go get Darth Maul," and they go find Darth Maul. So that's kind of the backstory for those of you who aren't really up on that. And you see her dilemma with the Council, and also she never really connects with Anakin. And in the last it's the next to the last episode, the last scene her and Anakin have together, Anakin gives her two lightsabers, right? He says, "Yo, I've been saving these for you," and he gives them to her, right? And she says, "Okay," and they look at each other, and they had a whole thing with each other where they wouldn't say, "May the Force be with you," right? Sometimes he would say, "May the Force be with you," and she would say, "It's about luck," right? During the first couple seasons, right? And so at this point, the last time she sees Anakin as Anakin, she says, "Good luck, Anakin." And Anakin was like, yeah, good luck. She doesn't say, "May the Force be with you." It's really, really, really a real strong detail that Dave Filoni puts in there, because that's when Anakin goes and becomes Darth Vader, right? So it's really, really deep, and she's feeling it. She feels it the whole time too. So I just kind of wanted to add that. Also, her relationship with Rex is what pulls it through, right? Her relationship with Rex throughout the Clone Wars series is real strong and it's unusual. It's an unusual relationship, an unusual connection that Ahsoka makes. And this shows, real quick, this shows the connection that Ahsoka has in the Force, right? Ahsoka has a strong level of connection and connectivity, and she can connect with a lot of different beings on a lot of different levels. And throughout the Clone series, her connection to the troopers is what saves her. And at the end, she didn't kill them, right? She does a lot to not kill them, yo. It's really, really deep how she kind of goes through the whole situation where she doesn't want to kill them and she saves them and her and Rex. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just kind of wanted to add that as context, not to go on too much.
No, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, so even in watching like the early seasons of the Clone Wars, to me, that's one of the dopest things about it is watching her relationship with the stormtroopers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With the clones, like to me, like it really did a ton in humanizing. You know what I mean? The clones, for the story, but also like great stories came out of that. But also, I wanted to say, my man who plays like the original clone, who plays Jango Fett, what was his name?
Tamora Morrison.
He's getting money right now.
Oh, yeah.
My man's getting money. He was in Mando. He's doing Boba Fett. He's gonna be in Obi-Wan. Like, dude is getting money.
He's gonna be Rex. You know what I'm saying? He's, you know what I mean, and he's gonna be in the Bad Batch too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right. Bad Batch is coming up in the spring, y'all. Bad Batch is a couple months away, they said. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to add last thing about Ahsoka and Darth Maul. They have a fight scene. It's one of the best, and I kind of misinterpreted last week. I said that Ray Parker was the voice actor. No, he came and did some choreography throughout the Clone Wars on Darth Maul's character. So when Darth Maul gets into it, you know what I'm saying, gets busy, that's Ray Parker's choreography. And in the fight scene with him and Ahsoka in the last season, episode 6 of season 7, her fight scene is choreographed by, I can't remember, man, somebody Farouk probably knows this person, but her fight scene is choreographed by somebody real high level, and his is choreographed by Ray Parker, Darth Maul. So that fight scene is that lightsaber duel is one of the greatest duels in Star Wars lore. If you can just go check it on YouTube, all you gotta do is Google Ahsoka and Darth Maul, and you'll see it.
Okay.
Oh, and she ends up saving them too. She saves them at the end. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. And he wants her to join him to go and fight Sidious, right? So it's an interesting interplay that they go through in that scene. You know what I'm saying? So that's something. And that's in season 7, episode 6.
Right. And there's a cat on the internet. We're gonna pull up his video. He put together the first 3 minutes of the supercut. So we're gonna check that out right now.
Lauren Mary Kim was the young lady who did the choreography for Ahsoka. Yeah, respect to her for sure. You're on mute, Kahari.
Thank you for that. We're about to check out again the first 3 minutes of the Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith Supercut.
Was there any sound for anybody?
Kahari's still on mute.
You're still on mute, Kahari.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that back one more time. That was yeah. You know, we're still
technical difficulties.
Yeah. We're still mastering this stuff.
The Millennium Falcon didn't go into hyperspeed.
Right.
Yo, what's up with the hyperspeed, man? You need to fix this joint, yo.
Bucket of jump.
Yeah, bucket of jump.
There we go. I think we figured it out. I think we figured it out.
It's all good.
Babe, have you seen my balls?
We got some live commercials in the mix.
Behind your overgrown shaggy bush, my love.
It's so thick and bushy. I can't see them.
Ew.
Yeah, I think this commercial that they ain't gonna have on the Super Bowl.
With the Manscaped lawnmower.
That was awesome, actually.
Yeah, yo, get them nuts out here. They got a glunk.
This is hilarious.
Cuts, nicks, and snags.
Live
Which are
TV,
your sensitive
live
parts.
internet.
Oh, this feels great.
And it's waterproof, so you can trim the hedges, rain or shine.
Thanks, babe.
There's a reason why over 1 million men trust Manscaped.
So that was live television, y'all.
That was a wild commercial. Gronk's joint, and after he shaves his joint, the joint throws up in the you know what I'm saying, in the lemon juice, yo.
Right.
Yo, that's 2021 in a nutshell right there.
Yeah,
Right.
his Clippers got thrown in the lemonade, man. They're gonna drink the lemonade, and it's anyway.
That's hilarious. That was hilarious. Yeah. So back to Star Wars. Yeah. Before the brief intermission. As you can see, and this version is actually someone who really, cut it together. Like what I talked about earlier was, just kind of watching it, in sequence. You know what I mean? And it's just super, like I said, like it's just super dope. Like I said, the Darth Maul thing, where you find out Darth Maul, isn't with the plan. Darth Maul trying to get Ahsoka to roll with him. When he gets captured, you're like, we're all gonna die. Like it's all gonna be crazy. And then the importance of Ahsoka not mentioning the stuff that Maul said about Anakin before they sent Anakin to go hang out with the Emperor, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to go get General Grievous. They thought that they were, making him more safe by sending him with the Emperor as opposed to sending him either instead of Obi-Wan or with Obi-Wan, to go get General Grievous, not knowing that he was the center of the whole plan. And, and Darth Maul knew that.
Definitely, man. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. That whole thing is she definitely knew that. Yeah, Darth Maul kind of sensed that. And Ahsoka definitely didn't tell that. That's interesting though, man. I always think about that. Like, why did Mace say that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like why did Mace tell Anakin, yo, go and see Darth Sidious or go to see Palpatine and see what's up? When he knew they was close, was he doing that to test them? Was he doing that to see? Because he says in the movie, yo, if you do this, you have my trust. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Or he said, don't come. Right. I'm gonna go and do this. You go here.
Yeah, the council.
Yeah, right. But why did he send him at first though? You know what I'm saying? Because Anakin comes back and was like, yo, dude is Darth Sidious. Right. But you know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Nate.
Go ahead, Nate.
No, I peeped that too, and to me, I always attributed it to bad writing. Like to me, that never made sense. You know what I mean? Like the whole Jedi Council is getting played by this one dude, and then they're literally just playing every step of the way right into his hands. Like to me, like that was always like what's going on here. Like it didn't make sense for him to go see Palpatine, and it would have been dope to see him and Obi-Wan, against Grievous, but at least that one last time. But yeah, man, I don't know. I never really saw that as being like something that made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was interesting because like Filoni talks about like the Duel of the Fates and really the fate of the whole series, really hinging on when Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon, you know what I mean? And then you look and see how that really changed everything because, in that moment, so many times, just watching it again, and particularly with the context, you really get that feeling like, who does Anakin trust more in that moment? When Mace Windu's about to take down the Emperor, you know what I'm saying? Because Mace Windu, he couldn't get Mace Windu. He crushed the first four, he took the first four Jedi down with no problem. But you know what I mean? And now, I mean, we still don't know to this day how much was gamesmanship. How much of it was, I'm gonna let Mace Windu get me to a certain extent, so that I'll have Anakin's pity. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I think Mace was getting up with him, man.
Yeah. No, well, Mace had won the duel already. You know what I'm saying? He had him, and then he was shooting the Force lightning, and he the purple, he had the purple saber. You know what I'm saying? The Raekwon and Ghostface edition. You know what I'm
saying? I remember seeing it in the theater and thinking like, "Yo, Palpatine just let him get this." You know what I'm saying? And then like he's just waiting to hit him with the Force lightning.
Yeah, maybe he felt
he was letting them get it.
Maybe he felt Anakin's presence. You know what I'm saying?
Really, it's just like for how many Star Wars movies are there? 9. he's had a premeditate, like a plan for everything throughout all 9 movies. You know what I'm saying? Like I have no reason to believe that he wanted to be in that situation at that point in time.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
No, I was just saying. I thought he got up with him. You know what I mean? And I thought that whole pause for Anakin gave him time to gather his strength for him to electrocute him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think Mace couldn't finish him. Right. I think he could get down with him, but he couldn't finish him. He needed help. You know what I'm saying? But Palpatine is just ill, man. Palpatine is ill, man. I mean, we could look at. I mean, I'm sure Kahari, being a political historian, you know what I'm saying, on politics, man, you know, there's more than a few wars that's been started by someone playing both sides. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, in history, man, you know what I mean? Like there's a couple wars in our history where you can look and you can see that there's been political forces playing both sides.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And gaining economic gain from both sides. And I think that's where George Lucas kind of took the Palpatine character and took that whole thing. Of course, he added some stuff to it, but you know, I'm sure Kahari
was playing everybody.
Yeah.
He was playing everybody, like everybody.
Right.
And Chuck, I do. Chuck was saying that Mace Windu is one of the greatest lightsaber duelists, and I agree.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that Palpatine came there with the intention of lightsaber dueling Mace Windu. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was going to kill him. You know what I'm saying? But I think that he was like, it was just part of a greater conspiracy to drive Anakin over the edge.
Not only can Mace, I mean, Chuck's right. Not only can Mace is a great dueler. I mean, obviously Samuel Jackson in the choreography, you can't really see that, but you know what I mean? He also has the ability to kind of, he's one of the only Jedis can take Force lightning and return it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he can take the dark energy and use it and return it back to you. He's one of the only Jedi could do that. So when Palpatine was doing the electrical shock, he was absorbing it in his lightsaber, if you notice it, and returning it and flipping it back on Palpatine, what made him disfigured. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was kind of right. It was kind of right on the lore, you know. But yeah, you're right, man. Palpatine played everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think at that point, he really, really needed Anakin. That's why if Anakin didn't come at that point, Palpatine might have bit the dust. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that Anakin was there, it gave Palpatine that emotional edge. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, you know. But to go back to what Kahari said, man, when Qui-Gon Jinn bites it, that's the end. Right from there, the whole course changes, right? Because Obi-Wan now has to be Anakin's master. If Qui-Gon Jinn had been Anakin's master, it'd have been a whole other different flip. You know what I mean? And if you look at it with that hindsight, you see like, oh man, if Qui-Gon Jinn had been the master, it'd have been a whole different thing. But the fact that got changed, that messed up everything, because Obi-Wan was kind of still young himself. You know what I'm saying? He was still a Padawan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So go ahead, Carr.
No, and when Anakin's mother died, it wouldn't have had the same impact because he was always looking for a parental figure. You know what I'm saying? And his mom, you know, was a parent, but she couldn't take him to where he needed to go. So then Qui-Gon fulfilled that role of the because when he still needed a parent, when he left his mother, he was going to provide that, but also give him the Jedi training and fill that void. You know what I'm saying?
And Palpatine became that father figure for him. Wow.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Giving him props. You know what I'm saying? Encouraging him. You know what I'm saying? And then so in that moment, you know, he trusted Palpatine more than, you know what I'm saying? You know, more than he trusted, you know what I mean? Mace Windu at that critical moment, because he felt like Palpatine trusted him. You know what I mean? He was like, the council, doesn't trust me. You know what I mean? And like sometimes it goes back to that saying where they said like they don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. It was like kind of that kind of mentor moment. But I did want to I think Brent and Mock and a couple other folks will be joining us in the next 10-15 minutes. But I did want to for at the risk of another Gronk commercial, hopefully we don't be interrupted by Gronk. But I wanted to show, because this cat actually broke it down.
Yeah,
how you could watch it on in the Disney Plus fashion for those who are interested, checking out this cut, and it gives a little bit more context. And I wanted to save this to the end because I want to give us a chance to talk about it a little bit. Sure. Some snippets, and then really get it. And this is about 8 minutes long, so it's going to get into it a little bit more and breaking down how you can watch the supercuts. Key things, make sure I share audio.
Wrapped up the Clone Wars animated series with episode 12 of season 7. Like many other fans, I loved the way that the Siege of Mandalore arc tied in directly with Revenge of the Sith, so I started working out how the movie and the show were connected chronologically. As I'm sure you can guess, this video will be full of spoilers, so stop now if you're not all caught up. I'm going to go through how I determined this and a few discrepancies I found, but if you don't care about that and you just want to get straight to watching my version, you can either skip to the end or click the link below to download PDF instructions. I've also posted the spreadsheet I used to figure this all out so you can scrutinize my logic or just follow along. Here's how I did it. I started with the Holo meeting where Windu says he senses a plot to destroy the Jedi, since that is the one event that is depicted in both the movie and the show. From there, I looked at the lighting of the scenes before and after that point to get an idea of how many days had passed as well as the time of day. Since Ahsoka joins the meeting on Mandalore in the morning while the same meeting happens in the late afternoon on Coruscant, I determined that there is a roughly 9-hour time difference between the two planets. For simplicity, I'm assuming that both planets have 24-hour days with 12-hour days and nights. I picked 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for dawn and dusk, and I count one day as dawn to dawn. After that, I looked at key dialogue to fine-tune the order of events. So let's start at the beginning. At the end of Clone Wars Episode 8, Ahsoka leaves Coruscant with Bo-Katan in a Fang fighter. However, when she meets the Republic cruiser, she is in a different ship and is wearing what looks like a Mandalorian-inspired uniform. Because of this, I assume her initial communication with Obi-Wan and Anakin is sent from Mandalore, or at least one of its moons. Meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan are on a planet called Urbana in the Outer Rim. Obviously as part of the Outer Rim sieges that Anakin refers to when he sees Padme towards the beginning of the movie. This presents a problem, though. When Obi-Wan comes to tell Anakin that Coruscant is under attack, he says that our fleet can be there within the hour. Wait, if they are in the Outer Rim, how can they get back within an hour? The only way this makes sense is if the cruiser met Ahsoka close to Coruscant. But why would they meet there? How could Anakin and Obi-Wan justify taking their entire fleet out of the Outer Rim just for a meeting? The closest I can come to justifying this is if Urbana is to the galactic west of Coruscant and they decided to meet in the middle, bringing their fleet closer to the core worlds. With that behind us, we know that the fleet will be split, with Ahsoka and Rex taking a battle group to Mandalore while Anakin and Obi-Wan return to Coruscant. Since they are closer, we stop the CW episode right as Ahsoka turns away and jump to the start of Revenge of the Sith. This puts us around dawn on Coruscant, day 1. The heroes arrive at the battle, save the Chancellor, kill Dooku, and then crash land sometime during the day. Anakin meets Padme on the landing platform. Meanwhile, we can assume that the Siege of Mandalore started a few hours after the fleet split, since Bo-Katan had been stressing the urgency of action. The landing clearly started during the day, so the earliest that could be happening is around 9 a.m. the next day. Then we cut back to Grievous chatting with Sidious, which I assume happens that evening, since Grievous needs a few hours to get to Utapau. Directly after that, we see Anakin and Padme talking on the balcony, clearly at night. Meanwhile, on Mandalore, Olmec is captured and Ahsoka finally catches up with Maul. The next shot is Anakin talking to Yoda the next day, followed by Palpatine appointing him to the Jedi Council. That afternoon, Anakin is given his seat on the Jedi Council, and then Obi-Wan tells him to spy on the Chancellor. Later that evening, Anakin goes to the water ballet with Palpatine. The next morning, Anakin is in a meeting about Grievous when Obi-Wan is assigned to Utapau. Now, with Obi-Wan having been assigned to Utapau, his first holo meeting with Ahsoka can take place. Based on the order of events in Return of the Sith, this meeting must occur in the third day of the Siege of Mandalore. This is interesting because if you watch the episode alone, it looks like everything happens in one day. I actually prefer this realization because a drawn-out siege is more realistic in my opinion. Anyway, the meeting is late in the afternoon on Mandalore, which means it's after midnight for Obi-Wan on Coruscant. Ahsoka then goes to the sewers at dusk and learns of Jesse's capture. A few hours later, Obi-Wan has his final chat with Anakin as he boards the cruiser to Utapau. Around the same time, Ahsoka visits Almec in prison, he's assassinated, and Maul sends his syndicate into hiding. We know it's the evening based on the lighting when Saxon escapes. Closer to dawn, Maul confronts the heroes and his army attacks the city. I assume this starts in the early morning instead of around midnight because I cannot imagine the duel between Maul and Ahsoka lasted for 6 or 7 hours. Then, of course, Maul is captured, and Ahsoka looks through the hole in the roof with what could be sunrise. This is further supported by the fact that when the gunship lands, the sun is up. I can't imagine the trip back down to the city took more than 15 minutes or so. And that puts us at the roundtable discussion that appears in both the series and the movie.
If he does not give up his emergency powers after the destruction of Grievous, then he should be removed from office. The Jedi Council will have to take control of the Senate in order to secure a peaceful transition.
From here, things move fast. While Maul is secured and taken to the cruiser, Anakin discovers Palpatine is the Sith Lord, tells the Council, Mace and the others confront him, Anakin intervenes, and Order 66 is executed. Here's where the second issue comes up. During Return of the Sith, Sidious talks to Anakin for around 4 minutes before sending him to the temple. Only after he leaves does Sidious contact Commander Cody about Order 66. But in the Clone Wars episode, Ahsoka feels the attack going on at the same time that Rex gets the order. It makes no sense that Ahsoka would have stood on the bridge, stunned, for 4 minutes before running to Rex. It seems odd that the Force would travel slower than intergalactic communication, and that wouldn't fit with the timing of Yoda feeling the deaths on Kashyyyk before his clones turned. Anyway, all that aside, that leaves us with Ahsoka dodging clones around noon Mandalore time while Anakin attacks the Jedi Temple at night. Assuming both of those fights take an hour or two at least, means Anakin checks on Padme and leaves for Mustafar around the time Ahsoka's cruiser crashes. Anakin travels while Ahsoka and Rex bury clones. The following day, Bail Organa returns to Coruscant with Yoda, and the remainder of Return of the Sith plays out over the 5th day on Coruscant. Anakin is returned to Coruscant during the evening, so we can assume that when he is seen on the bridge of a Star Destroyer looking at the Death Star under construction, it is probably the 6th day. All that leaves is the final scene of Clone Wars Episode 12, where Vader visits the crash site of Ahsoka's cruiser. Since the cruiser is covered in snow, most of the grave markers have fallen down, and the troopers are not wearing clone armor, I assume this happens a few weeks after the movie. So that's my version of how it all fits together. Here's the viewing guide, and don't forget you can download a PDF with the link in the comments section. I recommend using Disney Plus to view this, since it will save your place in each video when you go back and forth. Thanks for watching.
Word. Your mic's muted, Kay. Your mic's muted.
Yeah,
man.
that was the crazy breakdown of how you can watch all that, together in one sitting. And actually, those were the directions that I added. I mean, not the directions I added, but the directions that I followed over the weekend to check it out. Yeah, so yeah, super detailed. I will drop actually, I'm gonna drop that right now into the comments, so for folks can watch that video, and like I said at the end, it will give you the breakdown, the PDF on how to watch that all those joints in sequence. But yeah, man, Thanks. Shouts out to Chuck for putting us up on it. I do want to check out
Chuck.
the super cut of the 4.5-hour version where it's all actually cut in together. I think there's like a YouTube video sequence you got to follow for that, which is just a little bit more, because sometimes with YouTube, sometimes it'll jump to a different video topic or something like that. But the tried and true method is the Disney Plus, man, and just really, really gives a whole different perspective of how those other characters and those other storylines were fitting into that day when all that stuff was going on. Because we only have seen it up to this point, from the perspective of like Yoda and from the perspective of, Anakin, and not from the perspective of Ahsoka. And we're actually making history right now on Lando's Palace. We're going to have actually our first guest. And I think it's probably really, really apropos that our first guest is a well-known filmmaker in their own right, and an artist and a big Star Wars fan and a fan of comic books. We're gonna welcome Chris Ivy from Hyperboy Media on the Lando's Palace. Yes, we were just breaking down the Siege of Mandalore, Revenge of the Sith Supercut. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's something that we got hip to. So basically, it basically takes the last episodes of the final season of the Clone Wars and chronologically interlaces them with the scenes of the Revenge of the Sith, because a lot of that stuff happens simultaneously.
Wow.
So we just kind of went over it like in the comments section. We'll send it around again. But it's about 4.5 hours long. But there's also a version you could do watching Disney Plus where you start, I believe, episode 7 of episode 7 of the final season, and then you watch it up until a certain point, and then you turn on Revenge of the Sith, and then you watch Revenge of the Sith up to a certain point, and then you go back to Clone Wars, watch Clone Wars for a certain point. And that's basically what I did this past weekend. Yeah, it really adds a whole different perspective, and it when you really see like all this stuff was happening on Coruscant, and the fact that like Rex and Ashoka, are fighting for their lives at the same time that Anakin is in the Jedi Temple. So it just gives that kind of perspective that you just didn't have at all. And even when you watch, Clone Wars, in its own, you don't necessarily take that into account. I don't think, until you really see the supercut.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't really watched Clone Wars yet. I watched the first couple of episodes, but I'm really going to be looking forward to that in the next couple of weeks or so when I get a break. But man, I'll tell you what, man, for me, I feel like The Mandalorian really hit it out the park,
right.
I mean, some of the issues that I had like with the last trilogy is I like the way, like, it seemed like now that they're going to like correct certain things going forward and everything. And it's just like, I think Favreau and the team, they just really gave everybody what they're really hoping for a lot, So it's just like,
right.
Yeah. So
definitely. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm just really excited about all the shows coming up. I was like, woo,
right.
Man, the Book of Boba Fett, man. Oh my God,
Right.
Yo, Chris, if I could ask, man, what was your problem with the previous movies? And what did you like most about the series? You know what I mean? If I could ask that, Corey, is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You
know what I'm saying?
I think for me, like with the Force Awakens, I love the energy, and I thought it was going like in a similar direction. I was feeling a certain way the way I was in regards to the way I felt about the Mandalorian. It's just like connecting the old with the new. But I feel like for me, just like certain things got lost along the way. I think for me, I hate that they stopped developing Finn's character. I feel like they could have done like a whole lot more. And I know like John Boyega feels the same way. And and I keep on thinking about that every time I watch Small Axe. I keep on thinking about that. Like, there's so much potential they could have done what an incredible actor he is and everything. And I think that was some of my problems was that I don't know. It's just like when I think about it in regards to the Mandalorian, I think about how connected everybody in the stories with the Mandalorian. It's like I love all the characters in the Mandalorian. Like the characters in the last three movies, I liked them okay, but there were very few things that I was really like loving about the characters. You know, I still think about the characters in the Mandalorian a lot. You know, and especially like leading up to the season finale, I talked to so many friends who were like bawling. You know, like when they realized what's happening to it, they're like, what? You know, and then it's like, you know, and it's just, you know, I mean, I think that's the way that you do it, you know, and I feel like I understand what Kathleen Kennedy wants to do in certain ways, but I think it goes back to like the overall picture, but like, you know, what do the fans want too and stuff, you know, so I really feel good about the hands that Favreau and Filoni, Pittsburgh represent, man. I love it.
Right.
And that they're going with it. That I felt like, you know, I think it's also a problem that I was having like a lot of J.J. Abrams works. I keep going back to the old Lost TV show. It's like, you know, for me, it's like we have 5 to 6 seasons, and you know that you're going to end after a certain season. You really got to rock the ending and stuff like that. And like you were thinking about how, like, you know, the creators of Breaking Bad, how they took half a year off just to get the script tight. And it's just like, you know, and to me, that's what it's all about, you know. But anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, particularly you as a filmmaker. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch the Disney Gallery series.
No, not yet. I really want to see that, though. I saw the set design, like, good Lord, man.
Yeah. I'm sure as a filmmaker, you'll really appreciate it. But I think one of the things that they did, and I think they kind of did the same thing with the High Republic authors, but when you watch, because there's no season 2 of the Disney Gallery, it's just an hour special. But the first season actually has 8 episodes where they, you know, deal with the practical artists, where they deal with the technology, where they deal with the actors, where they deal with the filmmakers. Cool. And the original, and the first episode is with, it's with the filmmakers, with Rick Famuyiwa. I'm forgetting the woman who does all the action stuff. Asian sister who who did the first episode where they where the Mandalorians were flying around in the and she did Mr. Robot too in the past, you know what I mean? So they sit down with them, and I feel like what Filoni and Favreau really did was kind of create like a boot camp of Star Wars knowledge, and kind of got them immersed, even though they were all fans. Got them immersed in that world, you know, beyond being a casual fan and really getting a sense, you know, of the universe, which allowed them to really dig in. And you see, you know, Rick was like the only other person that wrote, other than Favreau and Filoni. You know what I mean? He wrote. He's the only director that wrote his episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh, cool. Wow.
So so he did The Prisoner. He did The Believer. So all that dialogue, you know what I'm saying? Like he wrote, but I think creating that world for people to come in, and he said he really wanted to focus him. Obviously, given his background, he wanted to focus, you know, on the Jawas and you know, on the little things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not little things, obviously, as little people, but like the folks in the Star Wars story that have always been on the side, because it's been about the Jedi and politicians and warlords and bounty hunters and strong, powerful people. But he wanted, you know, to have a focus on. You know, then you see those scenes in The Believer when they're riding through the village, you see the children looking. And that looks like that could be any like settlement anywhere in the world. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And he wanted to, you know, to capture that. Like, you know what I mean? There's people. It's not just this Jedi Council, you know. So I think they really were able to nail it. And then with the last thing I'll say is with the High Republic folks, they had a project called Project Luminous. Which was basically a boot camp at Skywalker Ranch, where they came up with the whole High Republic concept. They came up with the characters, they came up with the stories, and now the books and the comic books are coming about. But it was like a 6 or 8 team project where they basically they created the world themselves. You know what I mean? It was like a world creation kind of boot camp. You know what I mean? So that they would have that continuity between the characters. You know, and the story that they wanted, you know, to tell in the High Republic era. And I think that's how you do it, as opposed to just hiring a director.
Right. You
know what I mean? You got to immerse them into the universe so they really get the feel. And I feel you could tell the Mandalorian directors, and I feel like obviously Charles Soule has written Star Wars books before. You know what I mean? But I think Light of the Jedi, you know what I mean, is like super ill. You know, I haven't checked out the comics, but But yeah. I mean, I don't know, Lando. Do you have a question for Chris?
Yeah, I mean, you said you were really in. First of all, it's great to have you on here.
Good to see you, bro.
For sure. But you said you're really into Mando. They had a bunch of different directors on the episodes. Everyone from I think Favreau directed the episode. Carl Weathers was my personal favorite director. I love everything Carl Weathers does. So I was just gonna ask you to kind of comment on like who you liked and whose direction that you appreciate.
I'll tell you what, I think for me, like it was like the surprises for me with some of the director, especially Dallas Bryce Howard. When I saw her name pop up, I'm like, wow. Especially like following her dad, Ron's footsteps and everything, having opportunities to get her like behind the camera and everything. I really want to see more of her. And I think for me, one of my personal favorite, and that's just because it's like old school fanboy, Robert Rodriguez, man. Oh my God. It's like I'm like sucked into the episode. When I see his name at the end, I jumped up. I'm like, wow. So it's just like I always love seeing him get busy, especially like when I really like Battle Angel Alita or Alita Battle Angel. I can't remember which way to pronounce it here, but it's just like, but I always like curious to see like a lot of stuff that he does and stuff. But I love the diversity of the direction behind the camera and just like the creative as a team. And that's what it takes to really like do this right and everything,
Right.
And going back to say, I think that's one of my problems with like the last three trilogies. It's just like, they were just pretty much hiring people to do it instead of being immersed, And I'm still very curious to see what the two directors who did like Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs and the other stuff, 21 Jump Street, what their version of Solo would have been like. That's always going to stay in the back of my head, just because like, they have their way of doing anything. And most of the time this stuff worked really well, but they have their way. But since it wasn't like, like the Lucasfilm's way, like they wanted to go in a different direction, I'm always going to be curious to see what their version of, Solo would have been like,
Right. And just real quick, because I know I think Lupman had a question. And I know you'll really enjoy the Disney Gallery, and because there's an episode in the Disney Gallery behind the scenes where they talked to Bryce Dallas Howard, and she talks about when she was really very young. This had to be like in the 80s, and she went to a trip to Japan, and she tells a story about because I guess Ron Howard had a bunch of kids. Like I don't know how many kids he had, but I guess it was a situation where she said he felt, kind of guilty leaving all the kids, on this trip to Japan. So Bryce was one of the kids that got to go on the trip. So she tells a story about having dinner and falling asleep on her dad's shoulder while he's in Tokyo having dinner with George Lucas and Kurosawa. And she said that she just remembers just like hearing stories, and obviously me being the son of an artist, I can understand, just kind of you just hanging around and you just end up soaking. And she basically was just a story of her saying, like, I've been soaking up all this game my entire life. You know what I mean? Since I was a kid. You know what I mean? She said, I fell asleep. We're at the restaurant. I fall asleep on the shoulder, and I'm just hearing these three amazing storytellers just talk about storytelling. Wow. You know what I mean? So she's just been in that world her entire life. You know what I mean? And and said, but basically when she saw Jurassic Park and she was really young, when she was like, that's when she said that she wanted to become a storyteller. She's like, this is what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I definitely say, definitely, man, over the next week, it's 8 episodes. They're about a half hour long as a filmmaker. Because then they also get into the volume and a 270-degree, LED screen set. You know what I mean? And I think
amazing. That revolutionizes everything, man.
Is it Elizabeth Chow? I believe Elizabeth Chow is the director's name. Who I was thinking about, who was part of the team, and she's actually the one who's going to do the Obi-Wan miniseries.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
she's the director of the Obi-Wan miniseries.
Oh my God.
But Luke,
man. I saw Chris, man. You reacted the way you reacted, but the Obi-Wan, man, I'm waiting for that Obi-Wan joint too, Chris, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I had the same reaction when I saw Rodriguez's name at the end of the Boba Fett episode. And looking back at the episode, if you saw the fight scene, right, of the episode, it's his work all the way. It was it was handheld. It was like it was done like Super 8. You know what I'm saying? It was
that's what he was going for.
the whole episode was like done real grainy. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo. So when you saw his name at the end, it was like, yo, that's the dude. You know what I'm saying? We all had the same reaction, man. Like all the heads had the same reaction.
Well,
man.
you know, he choreographed the fight scenes with action figures because he had no other way to do it. It was during the quarantine. And it was during the quarantine, so he had his kids. You know what I mean? And they just did stop motion. You know what I'm saying, with the animated figures. And then they sent it in to Favreau and Filoni, and they were like, "Yo, dude, did you do this? Is that action figures, dude?" And he said he was like kind of like embarrassed, like, "Oh, I'm about to," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, I didn't really have anything else to do. I just had my kids just do it." And he said, Filoni and Favreau was like, "Yo, that's the most Star Wars thing ever, yo. That's the most Star Wars thing ever. That's crazy." Like,
yo, these dudes are getting money, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez was like, "I found my tribe." You know what I mean? He's like, "I found," you know, because he felt like I don't know how this is going to go over, but this is the only way I know how to describe it. Is I just got to take the action figures and do it. And they were like, "Yo, that's the most Star Wars thing ever. Like, you're hired, man."
This a little backup thing. I had a quick question for Chris, but it's a little backup information, Chris. Like, you know, we've been talking about this on the Palace for the last couple episodes, but the Mandalorian series kind of took the whole Disney thing by storm. You know what I'm saying? So like Kathleen Kennedy wasn't even paying attention to it. You know what I mean? She was just like, "Oh yeah,
that might not be a bad thing." You know?
She was just like, whatever. Let them have a little playground, whatever. But the Mandalorian, the first season of the episode, season of the episode, you know what I'm saying, of Mandalorian series, it was like, oh, okay. But the second season was like, it blew up, right? Yeah, it became like pop culture, and so now they have like leverage. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now they could be like, so now they can kind of demand what they need to demand, and that's what's going on with all of this, you know. But my one question was, what's your favorite character from the Mandalorian series? You know what I mean? Or do you have a favorite character, or do you have favorite characters? You know what I'm saying, from the series?
You know what? I think I love most of the characters. You know, I mean, I really hated seeing. Like a lot of people, I think I was really hated seeing. I can't remember his name, but the Nick Nolte character. Whenever he goes, I mean, it's like I was kind of pissed. I was like, "Oh man, like he's gone, like he's really gone." It's like, But I love the way that they did it, though. It's just like he died, they moved on and stuff, you know. And even though, you know, it's like I don't get much into the politics and stuff. I do like what's the Cara Dune's character, and then I like. I would think like, you know, there's gonna be like something's gonna go on between her and Mando, and like, I think like there's got to be something there in a way, you know. And I don't know, it's just like it's hard for me to nail down which characters I love, just because I love elements of like most of the characters, you know, because like, you know, like and that's the thing is too, and that's to me what works, like when you think about a lot about the characters afterwards, and I really not even think about the actors playing them. You know, except for the first time you see Carl Weathers. I mean, it's Carl Weathers. You know, like show the guns, bro. Show the guns. You know, and it's just like, you know, but I would say like more than characters, I keep on thinking about like, you know, just like certain moments that I love, like the first time, you know, when Mando takes off his helmet and he's just watching Grogu play and stuff like that, and then going back to the very ending when he says goodbye to Grogu and stuff, you know, and stuff, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just. I just love so much care being taken care of with this TV show, because when at the very beginning, it's like I was very curious about it, but I never knew how much I would love the show, you know. And it's one of those things like for me when I'm playing down the road. Okay, when I'm gonna binge watch all of these again, and when I'm gonna binge watch it with, you know, like get the projector out, get the screen out, you know, and just, you know. And I'm thinking about doing that whenever I'm in Pittsburgh. And just like over the summer, just like set out projector for like the kids to like come watch it, like social distance and stuff, like on the lawn, and just let them just watch it. You know, something to do. You know, man. And take it in the neighborhoods. You know.
Right.
Well, then hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. But hey, you know, it's one of those things I feel like that bring people together. You know, it kind of reminds me, not the same, but the feelings that I had when I first started watching Black Panther, and the way I just like went through the roof with that. You know, so and I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do with the sequel. So
right. Now, a couple things I just want to mention. I also want to bring on our next guest, B Mock. Thanks for joining the show. But I did want to mention, you know, it's interesting. Like, so there was a body actor, you know what I mean, that played Quill, right? And it's a woman who's an incredible body performance actor. You know, Nick Nolte obviously wasn't in, you know, the suit playing Quill. But strangely enough, that same body character plays Frog Lady in season 2. You know, it's the same, you know, body character, and you can see just how great of a body actor, you know what I mean. I forget her name, but yeah, but like, I'll check out Disney Gallery. But yeah, let's welcome B Mock, accomplished international, you know, journalist on environment, you know, social justice issues, but also is a big time cultural critic. And, you know, I recently shared, you know, he was late, you know, we're going to give him, you know, his late pass. He deserves a late pass. But, you know, he just posted recently, you know, he just finally got to the end of season 2. And we had talked about that on the show, is there's going to be so many more people are going to watch The Mandalorian this year, you know, than there has that we watched. And the only other thing that I mentioned is actually me and Chris were together in Detroit, Michigan, for the first episode of Mandalorian in November of 2019. You know, we were dealing with you know, a different kind of trilogy. To
me,
a real dark side.
We were dealing with, you know what I'm saying? We were dealing with yeah. We were dealing definitely dealing with some Dark Lords of the Sith from the Wolverine state. Yeah, but welcome to the show, B Mock. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, man. You know, share your, you know what I mean? You said that you got emotional, man. And like, so what was like for you, who I'm sure has heard a lot of chatter over the last, you know, month and a half. So, you know, one, how did you avoid finding out what happened? You know what I mean? Because we were supposed to watch it together, and I couldn't because I'm on so many different Facebook groups and on so many different lines of communication that I literally had to watch it at like 6 o'clock that morning, the day it came out, or I was gonna like get the spoiler. So one, tell us, how did you avoid the spoiler? And then how did you feel, you know, once you saw like one of the craziest endings of all time?
I mean, well, first, you know, peace to all of y'all. You know, Luke, this car. You know, thanks for having me on this show. I mean, I didn't read anything. You know what I mean? Like, every time it came on the timeline, as soon as I saw the M, I just, you know what I mean, scroll past. Because honestly, for one, I didn't even know that I was going to watch it, mainly because I'm not as invested in the spinoffs.
Right.
You know, because I'm a baby that grew up with the first trilogy. I never really wanted anybody to even tinker with that. You know, I didn't want the prequels. I didn't even necessarily want the sequels. You know what I mean? So anytime the prequels, sequels, and any of that stuff came out, there's always like a guarded skepticism, right? So, and then also last year was like really busy, you know what I mean, because of the elections and all of that. So and I have a baby. So I mean, in some ways it was kind of easy to avoid reading, you know, and seeing stuff on it. So when I say I went into it with zilch, I went into it with zilch, and I binged it from season 1.
Wow.
Season 1 to season 2. So I took it all in one arc. So yeah, you can imagine the surprise on my face when it's like, well, first of all, I was like, oh, okay, so it's good. Okay. You know what I mean? As I'm going through the first season and all that, I'm like, all right, okay. This was not a regrettable decision. Disney did its thing. People ain't hyping it up. And then, yeah, I get to the end. And again, as somebody who, like, literally the first movie I ever saw in the theaters was Return of the Jedi. Like to see that, I was like, oh, damn, they went there. Like, they really, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a more shocking ending than, like, you know, the last episode of WandaVision. But that's a different story.
Bro. Hey, but the one thing you said is, like, I want to know everybody's, like, everybody's moment when they realize, like, yo, this isn't trash. Like, this is fire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at what point were you watching it and like, yo, like, this is it?
That's a good question.
I would say for sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, it was really after like up until after the opening credits of the first episode. Because when it first started with that little like Ennio Morricone tribute, it was like the horn, like the Mandalorian, and when he goes into the cantina, like, oh, this is gonna be good, you know. Right. And it's just like the feel of it, it's just like I said, oh, this is. I just knew I knew it was gonna be hooked, you know. So that was for me. Right.
I mean. Now go ahead, Luke.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, definitely, man. After the first 3 episodes of the first season, and I'm sure I told Kahari this, man. It felt like a comic book. You know what I mean? It feels like a comic book, right? Yeah. Both seasons feel like a comic book. Feel like you're watching a comic book, right? And I think that's the feel that they kind of, you know, put forward. So I was feeling it from season 1.
Right. I would say definitely the first, from the first episode, but when I really, I think went to a whole other level, I feel like episode 7, season 1, where with Giancarlo Esposito, you know what I mean? He like just his dialogue, you know what I mean? I feel like that, like it just like I was enjoying it, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm a sucker for Star Wars, so you know what I mean? But when he was like, it was like, the Night of 1,000 Tears, and you know what I mean, was breaking down each of their names and their backgrounds, disgraced magistrate, Grief Karga, you know what I mean, just the way he delivered and the way he delivers his lines, you know what I mean. One of my favorite parts of the last episode when he says like, I forget exactly what the line is. He's like, but if I know what to be true, he said, I'm sure your people, have killed everyone on the bridge. Like the bloodthirsty savages that they are. Like, the way he says it, the way he delivers that line. Right, I was like, he was just like, I'm sure he was just having fun.
Dude, man. I'll tell you what, man. We are blessed to be living in the age of Giancarlo Esposito, man. He's just been like killing it on all fronts. Been Breaking Bad, This.
You don't have one break.
Hey, Chris, man, real quick before you go, B-Mont, do you think that his character in The Mandalorian was kind of like the character in Breaking Bad? You know what I mean? Because to me, it was kind of similar. Do you feel this real quick?
Oh, yeah. I feel that. Oh, sorry, you asking B-Mont, sir.
Oh, you're asking me? I think definitely that cold, chilling demeanor is definitely the same as what's his name from Breaking Bad? I don't know why I'm losing it.
Gus.
Yeah. But I mean, in some ways, it's different, right? Like,
right.
Gus was hidden in plain sight, right? He's like running this like chicken shack. You don't know that he's the Dark Lord, right? Whereas as soon as Giancarlo, as soon as he comes out in The Mandalorian, it's like you already know what it is from the beginning. Like this is the big bad right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the crazy things about that scene that you I think see in is it. I don't know if it's the Star Wars Gallery season 1 or the season 2 special was. They had ran out of stormtroopers and equipment, right? So they had to call in the 501. The folks who make their own stormtroopers uniforms and show up at events like our good friend who passed away a few years ago when had the wonderful event over at Southside Works.
Yeah, Samay Jane.
Yeah. Rest in peace to that brother, man. It had a great event. And they come to those kinds of events like fundraisers. They go to hospitals and they dress up, as the characters, and they keep their own uniform. So they ran out of stormtroopers. So Dave Filoni called the 501 from Northern and Southern California in, but they couldn't tell them what they were coming for. They thought they were coming for some sort of highfalutin corporate event, which happens sometimes. It might be like a 50, 60 corporate executives at a resort, you know what I mean? And they want to, get their rocks off by having some stormtroopers show up. They thought it was that. So they pull up on that scene with Giancarlo Esposito and all them there. And they're like, look, this ain't no event. Like this is that new Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. Like you're really live Star Wars characters now. Like this is real. And Mugs started crying. They couldn't believe it, yo. They were like, yo, because they pulled up on the set, like, yo, they're looking around, like, and it was that scene, you know what I mean, where Moff Gideon pulls out the E-Web, and that was some of them were actually the 501, you know what I mean? And then Filoni and Favreau were like, they were actually better than the extras because they play stormtroopers all the time, like their movements, their body movements. He said that they were better than the extras that they hired.
Wow.
But you can only just imagine, growing up on the scene.
A massive poly liaison as soon as it's on set. But that would be a crazy opportunity, man. That would be so cool.
Yeah, like they were hyped. Like they were super hyped, man. Yeah, we've been talking a lot, about the Mandalorian. Actually, we started this the week of Big Phil hit me up the week of the Disney Investor Show, and we were like, yo, this is going to be crazy. But like the latest rumors, I definitely want to get both of y'all perspectives on the latest rumor that, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, and Boba Fett and Mandalorian Into the Future, is going to converge into one, multi-series ending, which is going to then, the latest rumors, it's going to lead up to the scene right before Force Awakens. You know what I mean? When they're on Jakku, I believe. Is that Jakku? Where they have the old head, kill the old head, and Poe Dameron's hiding behind the X-Wing. So allegedly, the Mandalorian is supposed to take us all the way up into that moment.
I can see that.
It's the latest rumor.
That'd be dope.
I could definitely say that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been talking about that, you know what I mean? And the other thing that we've been talking about is the other rumors that 3-season retrocon of the sequel trilogy, because I guess there's hours of footage that have been used, and they said they might make a 3-season Disney Plus series where they actually redo. It'd be like a different version of episode 7, 8, and 9. So we'd love to get y'all, y'all thoughts on that as well. We've been talking about that.
I won't be mad.
So real quick. So B-Mock, are you going to be watching? Are you going to watch the other series since now you said earlier, you know what I mean? You stayed away from other Star Wars stuff. Are you going to be watching the other series?
You talking about the 3rd season of Mandalorian or the
third season Mandalorian, Boba
Fett?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka.
I think it's an interesting theory. I would love. Okay, so yes, to answer your question. The other reason why I didn't like jump on Mandalorian is because I thought it was just this thing to like sell Disney Plus, which it was. You know what I mean? But but like I wasn't like ready to go all in with Disney yet. So that was that. Mm-hmm. But now I'm in. But if it does go into Force Awakens, one thing I would like explained better for me is a better setup for Finn's character. Because I hate him. I he's like the worst character to me. Like next to the goofball from the prequels. I can't remember. Yeah. But like,
name I don't speak.
One thing that the Mandalorian does really well is that it's black characters they work, right? Like Carl Weathers, he works. You know what I mean? Giancarlo works. They go, they fit in, and you understand their place, just like you understood like Lando Calrissian's place in you know what I mean, in the first trilogy. But Finn is just I'm I never got down with dude in any of the the sequels, and I think he deserves better. So if they are gonna go in that direction, I would love for them to set him up a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of how I would love to just get if they can work a backstory of him into it. I think that would be great.
But we were talking about that
either way though.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and I was saying the same thing. They just totally abandoned him. And there's John Boyega, he did an article about it. He wrote something about it too, about how they told he got screwed over big time.
They didn't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I would be bad to even let Steve McQueen do that episode. Shoot.
I mean, look, man. Everybody got on he got on my nerves when he was in the last movie when he was crying for Rey every time. Yo.
Oh my god!
Man, every time she would get somewhere, it was like, yo, man, yo, she's a Jedi, yo. they go on missions by themselves, yo. She's okay. She can take care of herself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Like every time you turn around,
woo.
Right.
That's actually crazy because it kind of reminds me. So I think Zoe Saldana said something recently about starring in movies where her only role is to help the male character reach his goal. And now she doesn't want to star in movies like that anymore. And that's basically what Finn was in that series of movies. You know what I mean? He was basically just like the accessory You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? That, you know, just was his goal was to usher Ray along, you know, through the movie.
Right.
And like I think what B Mark said is right, and like it really wasn't fair, especially if you're a young actor like John Boyega. You know what I mean? He could have did a lot for that trilogy, and a lot for like, you know, the image that, you know, young black kids have of Star Wars. He could have been Black Panther for Star Wars, for lack of a better word. But you know, I don't think that they even knew what to do with that. I don't think the people in the writers room really.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm saying even in Force Awakens, I mean, he has that promising scene where he fights Kylo Ren, and you're thinking after the movie, I'm thinking after Force Awakens, I'm like, okay, does this stormtrooper have some Force abilities? This is going to be interesting backstory to get into. Like, I left Force Awakens thinking like, okay, Ren's character is going to be interesting.
Right.
And then the next two movies, no poor writing, man. No character development, you know what I'm saying? So
I legit thought that they were building out like a whole like Black Jedi Force, yo. Like that's kind of where they set it up, you know. His face is the first image you see in the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And they build it up, and then only for him like get his ass beat, you know, at the end, and then it's just like, so what was all of that for, man?
You know, I think originally there was supposed to be like something deeper between him and Ray, like a relationship.
Right.
But I think they got too scared about it. And then that's when they run into all the stuff, you know. And I mean, like over there in the UK, hey, you know, like make it work. Here, I don't know. Black Stormtrooper.
It seemed like for the last trilogy movies, it seemed like they were doing this. Like while the movie was playing, like they were like, oh no, let's change this. Oh no, let's do this. They were having like pre-production meetings during the production. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Like throughout the movie, it seems like they were like changing stuff like all the time, yo.
And then that would bring it back to that was also my problem. That's J.J. Abrams, and like the way especially with the Lost TV show, it's just like writing stuff as you go along instead of figuring, okay, this is going to be our ending. How do we get from here to there, and you know, keep it going and everything? And it's just. And the thing is too, because originally the original director of the last Star Wars movie, they got rid of him because they hated the script and stuff. And they should have just took their time,
right?
You know, it's like the same thing with like the second season of True Detective. I love the first season, but the second season, Lord, you know. But the thing is, you have to think about it. That writer was working on that story for like several years, and then you go from like having to rush from several years to get something done within 1 year.
Yeah,
you know. No.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're taking this time off. You know what I mean? You know, with the Mandalorian, and it's not come back out until sometime in 2022, where they can sit back, you know what I mean, kind of explore a different story. You know, this Boba Fett thing, which is to me is probably gonna be kind of like Central American, South American drug lord meets, you know what I mean, gangster, you know what I'm saying, meets, you know, bounty hunter, you know what I'm saying, like Narcos, you know what I'm saying, Tony Montana, Boba Fett, you know what I mean, you know, that was like kind of the vibe, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, with Robert Rodriguez at the helm, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be like space gangster, because even there's a dope scene in season 2 of the Star Wars Gallery where Jon Favreau, Pedro Pascal, and John Leguizamo are reading for the doing the audio for the scene from actually the first scene of season 2, the boxing. You know, when they go in and they're in that boxing with the two Gamorreans that are with the electro kind of pugil sticks that they're smacking each other with, and John Leguizamo was like reading the lines different kinds of ways. And then Jon Favreau says, like, nah, like this is, because he said he wanted that to be the gangster episode. And Favreau's like, this is my gangster episode. So he said, you know, he's like, have a seat. You know, it's not polite, you know, to talk during the entertainment. You know what I mean? We'll talk about this later. And he says, say it like Don Corleone would say it. You know what I mean? And then you see like John Leguizamo read the line like that. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm going for. So you can see like the direction, just even with that episode. And that was funny because that was the direction Lucas wanted to go in. You know, his idea for the sequel trilogy was kind of more like the Darth Maul Clone Wars storyline where it's like the bad guys are more like gangsters than like political terrorists. You know what I mean? Because the Empire are more like political terrorists. They're like a coup type military dictatorship, type motif. Where this we like more like the motif is like, more like Central America, South America. The crime lords are running things, not like these philosophical political tyrant types. You know what I mean? And that's where he wanted to go with it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they flip it, with this Boba Fett thing. Because it seemed like that was, more what George Lucas wanted to explore would be what would be like, which is a lot of societies around, the world, of course. You know what I mean? Where the gangsters are in control as opposed to like political zealots who become gangsters
right now.
Like Joseph Stalin or Adolf Hitler, who become gangsters in a different kind of way. But they're not gangsters, who become in charge where we see in other parts of the world. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's ill. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you focus on a lot of this stuff like in real life. So, what do you think? How do you feel about these various motifs of interweaving, politics and crime and corruption and and all this in the in the framework of a space opera?
Yeah, I mean, it's also a Western, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. Particularly the Mandalorian more than others. Yep.
Yeah. Star Wars starts off, the Star Wars, at least the movie stories, starts off in the samurai genre, with hints of Western, and Mandalorian. It flips it, right? It's a Western with hints of samurai, and so if you look back at any of the old Westerns, I mean, there's various genres within Western, but like there was that trope of like,
Sergio Leone,
own gunslinger, your spaghetti Westerns, that's your fistful of dollars, Sergio. So so you're going in and it's a company town, right? That's the pressure, you know what I mean? Like the mayor, the business, the corporate executives, the guys that own all the oil and all of that, the sheriff, like, it's like this vertically integrated power structure that's like keeping the people, down and oppressed, and they need a hero, you know what I mean? So the hero, the gunslinger, or in the samurai movies, it's the Ronin or the Shogun. Like they come in and like, they're not necessarily invested in, like they see the power there, and they see, how the people are being exploited or whatever, but because they're a desperado, they're not that invested. So, the investment is like, protecting the child, and then, and that's where like the, your Yojimbo, your Shogun Assassin, that's all of those like old, like, samurai elements come in with him like trying to like protect Baby Yoda,
Right.
So
Lone
Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, Lone Wolf and the Cub. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's you start to kind of see, especially in the Mandalorian, you're not only seeing the corruption, but you're seeing how corruption like fills this void after like the collapse of everything.
Right.
From after Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Right. Nah, man. I think that one of the things we've been talking about also is just like how they're all going to connect. And I'm not sure if y'all know, just the new Disney Plus series. I felt the same way, B-Mock, I wasn't on the whole Disney Plus thing. I didn't want to like, submit and give my $4 a month or whatever.
I was like, somebody find me a bootleg, man.
Right. I was trying to figure it out, man.
No more of my money.
I was trying to get the stick and I felt you. You know what I'm saying? They got us, man. They got the heads, man. But what they're going to do is, and this is Favreau and Filoni, they're going to kind of take the Marvel kind of motif and kind of, like how Thanos was like the overarch, bad villain of all the movies, going to do the same thing with the series, and one of the things that's going to connect all of the series is Luke's character and Grogu, you know what I mean? So all of these series with Ahsoka, Obi-Wan,
Grogu. I'm sorry because I was saying Baby Yoda earlier.
Oh no, man, no, man. We still say Baby Yoda, man. It's all good, man. Trip, man. You know, don't be tripping, man. No, but so basically, man, all those series are going to connect. You know what I mean? With Luke being a primary central focus, and the Ahsoka series is going to be real key on redefining on what Jedi and Sith are. You know what I'm saying? So and Dave Filoni's writing that whole series, and that's going to be an in-depth look into the Force.
This is dude from Pittsburgh, right?
Filoni? Yeah. Mount Lebanon to be very, very distinct, right?
and Ming Na's from Mount Lebanon too.
Yeah, and her dad has the Chinatown Inn downtown.
Yeah,
that restaurant. Yeah.
Oh, word! I didn't know that. Word.
Yeah.
That was her character. The sharpshooter.
Yeah. I forget her name, man. Dang.
Yeah, I usually remember it all the time. But yeah. She's from Mount Lebo as well, and she went to Carnegie Mellon too.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's most known for like obviously her being in Disney's Mulan back in the day. You know what I mean? That was her. Yeah. Now so it's crazy Western PA, and I think Filoni went to Edinburgh too.
Oh wow, cool.
Finnick, yeah. Finnick Shand.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to add that, man. They all want to connect, and all the stories is going to connect, you know. And this is definitely, man, on the business side, B-Mock, man, this is definitely blowing up Disney Plus, man. You know what I mean? So they needed that to they needed this because just on the Disney Plus side, man, they've been trying to launch this out for like the last 5 years. You know what I mean? And so what the Mandalorian did was it kind of kickstarted them. You know what I mean? And kind of and the whole app play and what have you. So just kind of wanted to add that. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, like, dude, I'm so excited about Thrawn. You know, it's like for me, the character of Thrawn, he's like one of my favorite characters, you know. And I would love to even see it like in its own kind of like Star Trek kind of spin-off. You know, like it's time to root for the bad guys now.
You mean Admiral Thrawn? Admiral Thrawn?
Yeah.
So you down with Star Rebel? You looked at Rebels?
Yeah. I've been listening to all the Thrawn audiobooks that's been coming out the last couple of years. Wow, it's just so good, you know. And it's just, you know, just really entertaining. But I love Thrawn.
No, but he's going to be like the Thanos. You know what I mean? He's going to be the Thanos of this. Yeah, definitely. So I feel it, man. And they supposedly, I'll look it up. Hopefully, I'll have it. They have the actor supposedly who's going to play Thrawn.
Lars Mikkelsen.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Nah, we've been talking a lot about that, you know, as well as the High Republic, you know, which is kind of more of Kathleen Kennedy's, you know, piece, you know, and I, you know, did a couple weeks ago did a review of Light of the Jedi, which is I think is a really dope book. It's an audio book, and it starts in the High Republic era. And I've been telling people, even for folks who haven't gotten to the Star Wars books before, it's a great place to start. Or as you're seeing more and more with a new generation of Star Wars fans, I'm seeing a lot of people our age who have kids who are into Star Wars, and they're like, yo, like, and they're looking at me funny because it's like, you was around then, like, you're not down with it. And they're looking for, actually, I've had all types of people been hitting me up, you know what I mean? Like asking me questions like state reps and, you know, pandemic experts asking me questions about Star Wars because they want to, you know what's going on. But the Light of the Jedi is really, really, really dope, and it really sets the table for really understand how things eventually fall apart. 200 years before, you know, Phantom Menace, and like, I mean, it's wild. They have like, the book is wild. It's an adult book, that one is, but they have younger books, and to understand the entire canon of the High Republic, you do have to read the children's books as well as the comic books, you know, as well. But no, it's super ill. I mean, you got Jedi drinking liquor, and it's an era when the Jedi had a lot more flexibility to be who they are, and it was a time of peace, and it goes to the line, to Ahsoka Tano's line, you know, in the Siege of Mandalore. There's a line where she says, it's like, I you know, came to Coruscant to explore the Force. And he's like, and all I've been is a soldier. And then in the High Republic era, the Jedi aren't soldiers, even though they do some law enforcement. When the thing then Oh, we got another youngling in the building.
My little Groku.
Hey.
and the ill thing is, like, back in that era when you became a master, as soon as you became a master, you basically were then free to explore the Force however you seem fit. You know, your service in the Force was only really during your knighthood. You know what I mean? When you're a knight, you do service for the Republic. But once you become a master, then you explore the Force in whatever way you seem fit. And which then they kind of not say it out loud, but they basically are saying at that time they're way closer to the Force because they're always exploring all these ways of the Force and not this rigid kind of military service that the Jedi are using, which then caused them to not be able to sense Palpatine, you know, and different things. Because there's a scene in Light of the Jedi where the bad guy has somebody tied up and they're torturing them right next to the Jedi, and the Jedi can't escape because the Jedi can't tap into the Force because they're in the presence of somebody suffering. And the first thing they need to do is to heal the suffering, because that brings closer to Force. So you can see how Palpatine planned the whole Clone Wars. So in the midst of a galactic civil war, the Jedi are going to be the weakest in the Force because there's so much suffering going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is like a whole different perspective than you have. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the only character that you know that's around then is Yoda. You know, everybody else are new characters. And my favorite character is Elzar Mann, because Elzar Mann, you know, he was known to get a sip on every now and then. You know what I'm saying? At the parties and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Was he the drunken monk?
No, he wasn't like the drunken monk, but he enjoyed a good time, you know what I mean?
He wasn't getting sloppy with it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And his claim to fame was he never used the Force the same way twice. So he was a knight. During the book, he's a knight, and then at the end of the book, he finally becomes a master. I won't give a spoiler, but the reason why he hadn't become a master yet is because he never used. He was like, in that way, it's kind of fun. It's kind of like, you know, ODB in a certain way, because he never used the Force the same way twice ever. You know what I mean? So in that way, there was really no father to his style, you know, which is, you know, the old dirty bastard. You know what I'm saying?
Man, no, I know. Growing up,
no, go ahead.
I gotta hop off real quick.
Yeah.
My family's calling, but thank y'all for letting me be on.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Definitely join us again, man. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up in the next 8 minutes. We're going to stay until 1 p.m. But yeah, that was B Mock.
What's up, man?
All right, brother. Keep up the great work.
Journalist, writer. Right. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon. Definitely added a new flavor to the show. Yeah. So like, so that's like the Light of the Jedi, man, and then now they're talking about the Acolyte thing we get more information about that. Acolyte is the old name for the Sith apprentice, so that's going to be Sith. But like, just to talk about the bad guy thing, cool. We'll jump back to Lukeman. There is rumors about a Darth Plagueis joint and rumors about an Order 66 joint. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff they are talking about. They are going to do more stuff from the perspective, you know, of the bad guys. But Lukeman?
No. We've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, man. I just wanted to see what Chris thought, you know, and he jumped off. But growing up, man, we grew up with this, right? Growing up, you know what I mean? We were like, Luke Skywalker is our hero. Yoda is our hero. Wow, the Jedi. I want to be a Jedi. You want to be a Jedi. But as I've gotten older, I'm starting to kind of be more like on the Sith. Like, I understand the Sith. I see the Sith's point of view. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then like now I'm like in between. You see, my tag is Gray Jedi, right? And those who are in deep Star Wars lore know what Gray Jedi is. So I just wanted to see what you think, Chris, man. Has your perspective changed of the Jedi as you've gotten older? The Jedi and the Sith.
I guess I think a lot with the work that I do. I know people. They definitely see me as a Sith. In a way, like with my documentary work, you know, like why are we talking about that? And let's talk about all the good stuff. Like, no, we got to talk about the dark stuff, you know. And but yeah, I would say like I would be more Sith. It's much more fun to be a Sith, you know. I mean, it's just like yeah. There was something else I was going to say. I appreciate Kahari. Like several years ago, you're the first one to tell me about Darth Plagueis, and then like I listened to the audiobook and stuff. And I was thinking, like, how could they let this go? And I kept on thinking for so long. And for like in the last couple of months or so, like they bring it back in the canon. It seems like we were saying,
right?
And it's just like good. I mean, that was just I thought it was just really dumb for them to let that storyline go, especially in regard to like the rise of Palpatine.
Right.
So
right now, I tell people that's the best story. I think that's the best audio book. I feel like last week we did our favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that Darth Plagueis is like the illest to me. Like he's the roundest character, in the universe. You know what I mean? He has so much going on. You know what I mean? He's Palpatine's mentor, but he's the head of the international banking class. So he's like Alan Greenspan. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then he's like a scientist.
Alan Greenspan was really a Sith, by the way. That was really a Sith.
Right.
Really Sith.
You know what I mean? But then he's like a scientist, like a medical Sith scientist, messing around with the midichlorians, bringing dead people back to life. You know what I mean? It's like, this dude is so, bananas, and he's like one of the illest Sith lords. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I definitely can't wait to see like Darth Plagueis, them get into that. See how much they keep into canon, from the James Luceno book. You know what I mean? But I mean the stuff that and like you said, like I mean you're right. The other thing that I was going to say as I was thinking of that was I don't know if you peeped the Dooku book.
Not yet, no.
Jedi Lost. You know what I mean? This is it is canon. It is canon. And I think it's James Cavan did that one.
Okay, cool.
And it breaks down, you know what I mean? And again, you just have that different feel about how things went down because, Count Dooku's from Sereno. His last name is Sereno. The planet's named after his family because his dad, his great grandfather defeated the Sith and saved the planet. You know what I'm saying? So, but when his dad found out that he was Force sensitive, his dad stripped him naked and set him outside, called the Jedi Council and was like, come get this dude. I don't want nothing to do with him.
Wow.
So Yoda took him back there to do demonstrations because part of what the Jedi would do was send them around like JROTC, right? Mm-hmm. You have like teenagers and kids going around doing military things, and the Jedi would do with the vibro braids instead of lightsabers, they would do presentations. So they were doing that as goodwill, almost like USO, you know what I mean? Military goodwill, go around, entertain the natives type thing. So they went to Sereno. Some crazy stuff goes down. But they find out. He's like, hold up, Dooku. And then Dooku starts cussing Yoda out. Like, you told him you were never going to bring him back. Like, I don't want anything to do with him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
And then and that's how Dooku finds out he was abandoned at birth. So you have another Jedi abandoned at birth, dealing with those issues, and that's how Count Dooku. But you say like Yoda, why did you take him back to his home planet? Like, you know what I'm saying? You knew, and that's like some of the stuff when we talked about how Yoda really, because Yoda, because the High Republic era, the council is different. The council is the way it is in the era where everybody's rigid, like because also in the High Republic era, like Jedi, like Padawans, it wasn't necessarily encouraged, but Padawans would have sex with each other. You know what I mean? You were expected to kind of sow your royal oaths before you became a knight or a master.
Yeah, get busy.
Yeah. So Yoda made things a lot more rigid. You know what I mean? Yoda is like a very stuffed shirt kind of guy, and that impacted the council and impacted the Jedi Order in a way where they weren't as close with the Force because they became less common people. Like in the High Republic era, they're closer to the people. You know what I mean? They're more connected with the people. You know what I mean? In a much more like down to earth grassroots way. Whereas in the modern age, I mean, they're in the ivory tower, like literally in the ivory tower.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yo, man, looking at
like Mace Windu and them, they're in the ivory tower. They're disconnected from the people.
Looking at that, man. I mean, looking at the Clone Wars and looking at it in perspective, in that perspective, you see that Yoda, man, made some serious mistakes. Made some serious mistakes.
And that's why he dips. That's why he goes into exile. He's like,
exactly. He went into exile.
Over hundreds of years, like, damn, I was tripping.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I thought that I was like, like we're gonna be strict. We're gonna be like, more strict, and You know, almost like a very strict religious sect. You know what I'm saying? Like an orthodox. You know what I mean? He's
Crazy,
like a more
man. Yeah.
cat, you know what I'm
Like
saying?
more like a traditionalist. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you know, and actually the season 6 of Clone Wars, the last 3 episodes, Yoda has a spiritual experience that makes him see the whole Clone Wars from a different perspective. So anyone can check that out on Disney Plus. It's the last 3 episodes of season 6, and you get that, and Yoda really realizes his mistakes, you know. But this also goes to something that I kind of came across.
You know, Sifo Dyas was Dooku's man. That's the other thing in the Jedi Lost. The main supporting character in Jedi Lost is Sifo Dyas. You know, Sifo Dyas is the cat who orders the clone army, but that's why he got kicked out of the order, because he was like, "Yo, we need an army, man." Like he had a premonition. Sifo Dyas had a premonition that everything was coming, but they said, "Oh, you're crazy." You know what I mean? And that was one of the reasons that pissed Dooku off, because again, you kick out somebody's main person out of the order. That's a good way to make somebody a Sith Lord. You know, Ahsoka. You know what I'm saying? Ahsoka and Anakin.
Yeah.
Sifo Dyas and Dooku. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We still don't really know what happened to Sifo Dyas, so I think they're going to get into that, you know, at some point. But that was Dooku's best friend.
Right. They get into it a little bit in the Clone Wars, but that's what makes Ahsoka so powerful, is the fact that she got rejected from the Jedi Council, but she didn't turn dark. You know what I mean? So that's what makes her character her character arc even much more stronger, because she doesn't turn to the dark side. You know what I'm saying? But just to get into real quick, man, Yoda species, they have a connection with the Force that's really, really deep. You know what I mean? And we may get into that. They may get into that with Grogu's character. You know what I mean? That they have a real deep connection, and they're saying that they were like kind of the first Force sensitive beings in the universe. Is Yoda's species? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why they look at it that way. And also, man, Yoda was clouded. And another theory, real quick, Kari, is that on the Sith side, right, the whole thing of 2, right, the whole process of 2, right, that cuts off, that creates much more of a greater access to the Force, right, because you only have 2 Sith at a time, where you have all these Jedi, right? And so Palpatine was able, that's one theory, right? So Palpatine was able to like have all this access to the Force because they cut him off, and that's why the rule of 2 on the Sith side was established, so they could have much more access to the Force than the Jedi, and that's why Palpatine was able to cut them off. One of the reasons too. That's something I came across. You know what I'm saying?
Another thing you notice is like all the Jedi that like kind of bump heads with the Council. You know what I mean? Other than Yoda and Mace Windu, you know what I'm saying? Like are like crazy powerful. You know, like Qui-Gon. You know what I mean? Figure out how to, you know what I mean, come back from the dead. You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to again like this High Republic stuff that they're getting into. Whereas Jedi were more powerful because they were closer to the Force, because they were able to explore and not just stick to the dogma of the Council. You know what I mean? And what the Council said. You know what I mean? You could explore and do other things, which eventually, you know, is going to make you, you know, more powerful, you know, in the Force. So yeah, in our last, you know, couple minutes, Chris, do you have anything that you want to say before we head out? This was, I think, our longest show ever. Like 2 hours. We've never gone this long.
That is great. It's great. I don't know why. Just like this, for like the last 30 seconds, I started thinking about like all the Star Wars connections to Pittsburgh. It's like you think about some of the people who grew up here, like Mina, Dave, and also some of the people who shot stuff here. You know, like Oscar Isaac was in an independent movie here like several years ago and stuff. And I keep on thinking about like all these connections in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
Mark Hamill went to elementary school in Scott Township for a year.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Like 3rd or 4th grade. Like, you know what I mean? I'll drop in there. Yeah, but Mark Hamill, like he lived in Pittsburgh for like a year or 2.
Oh,
like
that's crazy.
Like in the 60s. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's funny. I know like several years ago I think he was meeting with somebody at Gypsy Cafe. Like he was here for like a project or something. But but yeah, it's just like I love this podcast series, guys. Man, I appreciate being a part of it, man. Thanks so much, man. This has been great, man.
Amen. It's Lando Palace, man.
Yeah. I also want to see if possible could invite one of my best friends. I think I'll have him talk with you guys. I mean, he's quite incredible. His knowledge is, you know, incredible.
Yeah, I'm dropping the tweet. Somebody had tweeted him back in 2015. Would you ever come to Pittsburgh? And this is from his, his actual account. He said, already have lived in Pittsburgh in the 3rd grade, one of the 9 schools I attended in 12 years as a military brat.
Wow.
So Luke Skywalker, again, that Pittsburgh connection,
Mark
right?
Hamill.
That's something, you know what I mean?
The voice of the Joker, also, by the way, in the Batman series.
Oh, dude, man, my favorite.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining this episode 9 of Lando's Palace. We keep, we have our technical difficulties here and there, but we keep working on it and having fun. Thank you, filmmaker Chris Ivy, Hyperboard Media, for joining us. Always good to see you. Looking forward to catching up, once this pandemic is over. And shouts out to B-Mock as well and the Nathandalorian. So catch us next Sunday at 11 a.m. on Lando's Palace. Peace.
Peace. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.